Good morning. While I was taking notes on the dialogue APL tutorial, something got me wondering if any of my friends would like to see a little of how I take notes with org mode. I decided on their behalf that they might. They might. And that's good enough for me. You can see here on my screen that I've got Emacs open to my right and the dialogue tutorial open right below that. I just got to a section about how the circle function works, how it's used for trig functions. I don't want to summarize the entire thing. I just want to copy the content there, and I want to show you 3 ways that I would do that. To copy that, I'd start just by copying that. And the first way that I might bring it in is as a quote. You can very easily insert quotes with the org mode speed keys. And it's so easy, you can see I inserted an example block that I didn't quite want yet. I'll start with a quote, and I want to show you how that looks. So if you look at that export, that's a quote, and it's indented as you would expect it. If you want to include a quote as a list item, just make sure that the quote block is lined up with the list item. It's a super easy thing to forget and be surprised when suddenly your document doesn't look like as you expect it. I'm gonna start over. I'm gonna insert that example block. I'm gonna export that right away and show you how that looks. The example blocks are really nice because they have a box around them. It makes it really clear to the reader something that's different and special about it. They're also very nice because you can see that it's not re-indented. So if you've got a 100-line, 200-line statement you want to be that long, you can make it that long. In this case, I don't want either of those. I want just a plain old quote encased in double quotes. So I'll add that. That does exceed the 80 character right line recommendation I have set up in my Emacs. I'm going to fix that with a call to fill paragraph. I've got on the bottom of my Emacs, somewhere down on that edge, I've got a hydra there for the most commonly used functions I'm calling. The hydra makes it easy to remember if you don't call them that often. And it's just nice for an additional namespace. So when I call that, you can see then it's indented correctly. You know, I learned something really new to me recently about the 80 character line length preference. You know, originally the whole story we always hear is that it has to do with the size of the terminals, you know. So most of us grew up with virtual terminals the first time we used Linux, but before that there were physical terminal devices, and they were limited, right, to 80 characters. And seemingly it doesn't have any relevance today. Well, the new to me thing was that if you're using a braille display, a touch display, the largest display line length you can get is 80 characters. So if you ever wanted to share something from your screen on a braille display, having it be an 80 character width could seemingly be useful. So I learned that last week. That was good to know. The last thing with this example here, I'd like the math and code portions of it to clearly be math or quote. There's 2 ways to do that with org mode markup. You can mark it as verbatim, or you can mark it as literal. I decided on my documents I want verbatim to be expressions that could be executable, so basically any math or any code. I'll just very quickly go through and wrap things that look kind of interesting. The nice thing with the package I've got there, you just select a region and hit equals, and it understands that you want to wrap the entire region. Doing the export again, then you can see it's formatted like I want it to be. And also, you know, org mode does other nice things like make the opening and closing quotes, you know, whereas in the code itself you can see it's normal double quotes, not smart quotes. So it takes care of those niceties for you. This, friends, is how I like to take notes. And it's I feel like it's a tiny little example. And I hope it's a good example, because working with org mode, it really is your life in plain text. And usually it's pretty pleasant and fun. Thanks for viewing. Have a very happy rest of your day.